All right, guys. Welcome back, I guess. Let's talk about what we got as far as the next cycle goes. I've got it up on the annual plan. So when you get a chance today, please look over the annual plan. There's a lot of verbiage, a lot of wording. It's already up on the week so that you can look at the week as well. But quick rundown of what we're looking at. Overall, and the goal of the phase is that we are going to do all intervals on conditioning um, over all domains. So basically, what that means is we're still going to keep sprint days, we're still going to keep long, slow distance days, but inside those days, we're going to do various intervals. Ryan's going to get to be really creative on how he does this stuff. He's going to have 4 different intervals, as you'll see, that he gets to choose from, and then he's just going to plug and play those under whatever energy systems or time domains that we're using for that day. From a coaching standpoint, some things that we need to continue to bring to the community. So the energy systems are not changing, all right, and they're not going away. Monday is going to be the long, slow day, LSD day. All right, Tuesday and Thursday are going to be sprint days, ATP, CP day. Wednesday is going to be your aerobic day, which is now our 15 to 20 minute, and then Friday is going to be that really shitty day that's just 10 to 15 minutes of a real fast, quick grind, higher intensity, holding on type deal. Very CrossFit open type workouts. The intervals that we get to choose from, we're going to have, and there's examples of all of these on the annual plan. 1-to-1, all right, and when I say 1-to-1, it's work to rest. So the example on there is 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off. 1-to-2, 1-to-4 or 5, all right, and 1-to half or less than half. All right, so that would be like 3 minutes on, 1 minute off type deal. So some things that from a coaching standpoint, and Ryan's always going to put those on there so you can see them. If it's a work to rest ratio where we don't work as long as we rest, so 1-to-2, 1-to-4 or 5, we have to preach to the community that the work needs to be really intense, and they need to go very, very hard. 1-to-1, it's more that moderate, maybe just above moderate pace, because they're going to have just long enough to recover. But if they sprint their ass off, it's not going to be long enough to recover or even bring their heart rate down enough to perform the rest of the workout. And then when we have the 1 to 0.5 or less, then we have to preach to them that they can't go out hard. This is more of a find that pace that you would do on LSD on a long, slow day in the last cycle, and maybe we uptick it just slightly, okay? Here's the thought process behind it and how we can play it in all different energy demands so that you understand it, you can explain it. If we have a long, slow day, okay, or we have an aerobic day, either one of those days, the goal is we want an average 150, 160 heart rate, 140, 160, okay? We always have said consistent, but we want that to be our average when we look at our workout. In the past, we've always just said we're going to work for 25 minutes straight. Control your heart rate, guys. Stay in that area and try not to peak or try not to spike. Well, another way that we can train that is, for instance, if we used a time interval of 1-to-4 for 20 minutes, we could do 4 rounds. So it would be 5 minutes of 1-to-4. If we did 1 minute on, 4 minute off, 4 rounds to get to 20 minutes, we could do a 1 minute all out sprint on an assault bike. And I mean an all out sprint, because you're going to have 4 minutes off. And you're going to spike your heart rate to 190, and you're going to feel like you're going to die, and it's going to be super high. And over that 4 minutes, it's just going to gradually come down slower and slower and slower, but it's never going to return to resting rate, because that's just not how your body works that quickly. It's probably going to drop down to 110, 120, and then it's going to be your turn to go again, and you're going to have to sprint your ass off. Well, if we take those averages of it spikes at 190 and it stays up there, and then it comes down gradually, and then it spikes back up again, if we look at the average again, and if we're doing this the right way, suddenly we have an average of 150 to 160. It's a long, slow day. That's what we're looking for. It's the idea. Same idea of if we're looking at an ATP day, all right, and we want to do something along the lines of, say we want to go 1-to-1, in an ATP day? Well, we can do something as simple as, because 1-to-1 an ATP day is that we want it to go up and then we want it to come back down like a sprint day. And we want to keep that quick up and then quick down. Well, we could do something 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, all right, for 10 minutes. It sounds miserable. We could do 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Something that is not going to have us working for so long that then suddenly we're not ever going to be able to recover, okay? Final example is if we wanted to do a lactic threshold day, and let's say we wanted to use a 1 to 0.5, okay, interval. The goal in the lactic threshold day is to just fight that increase as long as we can. It ends up being like an average of 160 to 170. We take it and we go, say, 2 minutes to 45 seconds off. And so we are pushing the throttle down on the 2 minutes, but we also know that we can't just dead sprint for 2 minutes or we're never going to make it for the entire 15 minutes. We push it and then it gets to come down just a little bit and then we push it again. And so that lactic threshold, instead of that lactic going like this the whole time, we get to push, comes right back down a little bit. We get to push, we get to come right back down a little bit. We end up in the same place, but our intensity gets to be a little bit higher. Our volume gets to be a little bit lower. It's kind of the overarching theme of this is that we get to push our paces just a little bit more because there's those little tidbits of rest throughout. Drops our volume down because we just physically aren't working as much, but our intensity gets to be a little bit higher. So that's the conditioning side. Please, please, please ask questions, okay? Because we have to explain to our community how this is going to work. Because the first 2 weeks, it's going to be cool and fun for them, and then they're going to be like, hey, it doesn't feel like we're necessarily getting the same thing out of just doing a 25-minute straight. Honestly, an EMOM is an interval. It's 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, essentially, which is a 1 to 0.5 ratio. So you can kind of explain it to them on that level of, well, we do EMOMs for 25 minutes. That's all this really is. Lifting-wise, sorry, I know that took a little bit longer. Lifting-wise, on Mondays, we're going to do auxiliaries. Okay, they'll match up with our long, slow day. We have 4 exercises that are already on there. We have done most of them before. A theme that you're going to see is Monday through Wednesday, we're going to be in the front rack. Because on Monday, we're going to do front rack, front foot elevated split squats. Tuesday, we're going to do cleans. You land in the front rack. And Wednesday, we are going to keep the slant boards and we're going to do front squats. PVC pipes are mandatory on front squats. They have to be behind the athlete. Okay, if the athlete touches the PVC pipe, they're not allowed to go up and wait. Okay, if they collapse, like we've got to control a little bit of this. Same rules apply on slant board squats. Butt has to cover the ankles. If the butt doesn't cover the ankles, tell David Gregg to fuck off and take weight off. Okay, that's just how this works. We have to teach the intent. The intent is not, hey, look how strong I am. You get to prove that on Tuesday and you get to prove that on Friday when you're doing cleans and when you're doing snatches. On Wednesday, it's about technique. It's about teaching our body what good positions are. It's about refining our front squat so that our receiving position can be that much better on Tuesdays. You're going to have tempo. The tempos are written on there. All right, let's make sure we follow tempo. There's tempos on Monday. There's tempos on Wednesday. There's tempos on Thursday. And there's a tempo on Friday when we snatch. We have to hold the snatch receiving position for 2 to 3 seconds. Teach the tempo, quality over quantity. Part of the reasons we had such a great last cycle is because we were preaching quality, quality, quality. We only had 1 day last cycle where it was like, hey, rip it, just go, man. And it was the deadlift day. All the other days was this quality and let's really pay attention and let's have this value to work. And what happened? We ended up having a great cycle. We have Tuesdays to just show how badass we are. We can clean whatever. We can be fast, snappy, all that kind of stuff. Cool. The other days, let's have a lot of quality. Let's stay on top of things. That's from a straight position. This is an 8-week cycle. It's fluid as usual. We might make some changes. To be 100% honest, we might bomb a couple of these conditionings. We've never really experimented with some of these intervals in some of these time domains. If we bomb a conditioning or we have to make an adjustment after a 5 a.m., go with it. Admit the mistake to the community. Hey, I thought we saw this last night. Yeah, we missed it a little bit, so let's just make a change right quick. This makes it better. Don't try to make it sound like we know exactly what we're doing all the damn time. We make mistakes. Be honest and upfront with them. Hey, we make mistakes. If a community member asks you a question about the program and you don't 100% know the answer or feel comfortable answering it, don't come up with a bullshit answer. It makes us look really bad when we do that. Just say, hey, I'm not 100% sure on that. Let me get with Ryan and Evan, and I can get you that exact answer, but I can't tell you that answer right now. I just know that this is the program they want us to do. All right. If the community member really wants to buck back at you and say, well, I'm not going to do it if you can't explain it to me, kindly show them the fucking door. We have deposited enough trust at this point. We can ask our community members to trust us, okay? And we've got their best interests in mind, okay? That's my video, longer than I wanted. Sorry, 11 minutes. Call, text, put it on the GroupMe. If you've got the question, put it on GroupMe because chances are somebody else has the question as well, and Ryan and I can answer it.